welcome. We're just going to give everyone a couple of minutes to get settled, to get in. If your camera's off, I welcome you to turn on your camera so we can see all of your lovely faces and maybe see you dancing along to the music that we're going to be listening to later on this evening. Welcome, everyone. Feel free to write in the chat box where you're going to be joining us from. Love to see how wide our audience reaches. I'm Chazan Bani Zakarin. I'm the Director of Communications and Programming for the Cantors Assembly. It is my honor and privilege to be here this evening with you, with Cantor Steve Stein and Cantor Benny Meisner and Sarah Glick. We are just so wonderful and so pleased that you're all joining us today. Early Chag Sameach as we all get ourselves ready for Pesach. Wow, look at all of those people coming from all over the places. Please fill in that chat box and let us know where you're coming from. In a moment, we're going to begin to introduce our amazing Cantor Steve Stein. We are honored to have you this evening leading this amazing program. I'm going to put a spotlight on you so everyone can see your face so nicely. And I leave it to you. Enjoy the program, everyone.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you all for joining us. As Bonnie noted, my name is Chazan Stephen Stein, and I am the Emeritus Executive Vice President of the Cantors Assembly, having served in that capacity from 1998 until June of 2023. This evening, the Cantors Assembly is proud to present a very special work entitled Music for Passover. If you've never heard this composition before, you're in for a real treat. And in fact, even if you've heard it before, you're still in for a real treat. The work is an exquisite setting of texts from the Haggadah, arranged for 4-part chorus and string quartet. You will find the selections to be especially melodic. The work was created by Sroul Irving Glick, Yehi Zichro Baruch, a prominent Canadian composer whose works focused extensively but not exclusively on synagogue liturgy and Jewish themes. In a moment, I will turn the program over to Chazan Benjamin Meisner, who is an especially close friend of Sroul, along with Sarah Glick, his wife, for some personal reflections of this very talented and kind man. What is especially interesting about this work is that most of the melodies incorporated were passed down to Sroul by his father and grandfather, having been sung at their own family seders. A few notable exceptions are the settings for Eliyahu Hanavi and Ani Ma'amin, which you are sure to recognize as they are well known, and the setting of Adir Hu was composed by Shlomo Carlebach. I first had the opportunity to hear this work while a student in cantorial school at JTS in the mid-1970s. In 1980, I accepted the position as Chazan at Bethel Congregation in Akron, Ohio, which had a rich choral tradition and where I remained for 35 years. We performed this work early in my tenure. About midway through the broadcast, I will share with you how this particular recording came to be made, which features the music department at Kent State University. However, again, before we begin playing this work for you, I'd like to turn the broadcast over to Chazan Meisner and Sarah Glick to share some reflections about this truly remarkable man and composer. Benny?
I'm really honored to be here and participate. Thank you for inviting me. Sroul Glick was a very dear friend, a personal friend, a mentor, and a teacher. One of the Canadian most permanent composers. Glick music continues to be performed regularly at home, here in Canada and abroad. His integration of contemporary music, Hebraic lyricism, and classical composition technique form into a masterful character-filled music that is both dramatic and lyrical, has won him considerable acclaim. A great many of his works are performed all over the world, and I could continue to talk about Sroul Glick forever. Just a few moments, because Sarah, his wife, also my dear friend and our dear friend, will share with you her personal reflection. Born in Toronto, Ontario, he received the Bachelor of Music at the University of Toronto in 1955 He studied in Paris with Darius Milhaud, Louis Sager, and Max Deutsch. Also was teaching harmony and composition at the Royal Conservatory of Music at York University. Glick is one of Canada's most prolific composers, having written in all media, from chamber music to oratorio, from orchestral to choral. He won numerous awards, including the extraordinary Yuval Award in 2000, presented by the Canada's Assembly of America, for his Ateret Kavod Crown of Honor Award in 2001 from the United Synagogue of America. Of his lifelong dedication to music of the synagogue and cantorial chant in particular. He also received the J.I. Siegel Award for his contribution to Jewish music in Canada, the Salomon Schechter Award presented to Beth Tikva, his synagogue, for many years, which I used to participate many times with him and my dear friend Ephraim Sapir, who was the cantor there. Music program, he received the Salomon Schechter Award for his contribution to the synagogue music in America, an honorary fellowship from the Royal Canadian College of Organists for his contribution to musical life in Canada, and in particular to his music of the synagogue. In 1995, a second Salomon Schechter Award for the best musical program for the synagogue in North America. He was very involved in 1962 to 1986 in CBC, involving in the field of production, recording, and won a Juno Award. In 1993, Glick received the Governor General Medal in honor of Canada's 125th anniversary of celebration for his contribution to Canada's culture. And in 1994, was appointed member of the Order of Canada for his outstanding achievement, service to Canada and humanity at large. Mostly, he was my dear friend, very close friend. He taught me not only music, but about Menschlichkeit, and I miss him terribly.
Hi, everyone. I'm, as you know, Sarah Glick. Sroll and I met in unusual circumstances. We were both saying Kaddish at Beth Tzedek, and a mutual friend said to him, there's a nice lady there that you should go and speak to. So he came over and he started to talk to me. And gratefully, I knew the person that sent him to meet me from camp. Well, the interesting part of the story is that I wasn't the one that he was sent to meet. It was somebody completely different. But Sroul and I became friends. I was going through a rather nasty divorce at the time, and he offered me a place that was peaceful and quiet to study for my law school exams, and I took him up on that. We walked on a daily basis, and as we walked, a melody could come to his head. And he would say to me, we have to sing this melody while we're walking. I don't want to forget the melody. I said, okay. Well, it didn't take very long for me to decide that remembering melodies was not something I was able to do. So instead of that, I became accustomed to taking some staff paper and a pen in my pocket. And everywhere we went, if a melody came to him, he would write it down. Now, we became good friends long before the relationship developed. And one day he called me and he said, I wrote a piece of music for you. And I said, that's very serious. Don't be writing any music for me. He said, look, some guys bring flowers and chocolates. Me, I write music. That's what I'm going to do. So he wrote the first movement of a little piano piece. I asked him to play it for me, which he did, and he recorded it. The next day, he wrote a second movement, and again, he played it for me and recorded it. On the third day, he wrote a more complicated piece of music, and I said to him, I need you to record it. He said, it's too complicated. I can't play this piece of music. Someone else will have to play it. So that is how our relationship began. We traveled the world together, literally. I was there when he received the Order of Canada. I was in Rome when his music was performed at the Canadian Ambassador's house for the beatification ceremony of a nun from Quebec. Now, it was very unusual because they sang two songs in Hebrew, Avinu Malkeinu and Adonai Adonai El Rachum V'Chanun. And you can imagine this in the backyard of the Canadian ambassador's home with a great many nuns, several bishops, some cardinals, and lots of priests, all with Sroll standing there wearing his kippah. We were the only two Jews in the place. Now, while I met him, of course, he invited me to Beth Tikva, and I sat at the back of the synagogue the first time I was there. He wanted me to listen to the choir. And he came and saw where I was sitting and said, "This is no good. You have to come and sit at the front." And he placed me 2 rows from the front, right in front of the choir, so I could hear the harmonies. And of course, needless to say, I fell in love not only with Sroll, but with Sroll's music. I'm going to cry, but I miss him terribly. It happens that tomorrow is 22 years on the English calendar that he passed away. And he did some interesting things. He would write every day. He got up in the morning, went to the piano, and wrote religiously. That was his job. That was his day job. Afternoons, he met with people for rehearsals. He had students, and of course, friends came to visit. Many people came to our home. We had performances there on a regular basis, and it was really a delight to be there. And I can tell you an interesting story, and then I think my time will be up. But one day I was busy at the office. As I say, I'm a lawyer, and I was busy working on a file, and I got a phone call from Sroll. And he said, "Look, I've got 2 endings to this piece of music. I'd like to play both for you. Tell me which one you liked better." And I chose the one that I liked better. And of course, that's the one he used. I was very grateful for that because I have no knowledge of music, but he trusted my judgment. He knew that I knew what I liked and what I didn't like, and he knew that I loved him and his music.
I'm going to jump in. Sarah, thank you so much. Your personal reflections greatly enhance our evening, and we're so grateful to have you. I'm going to take a liberty and ask you a question. One of my favorite pieces that Sroll wrote, I believe, was called The Klezmer Wedding. Did he write that for you?
He did. He wrote that, and he was commissioned by Peter Kellner, Oliver Sholem, to write that in honor of their daughter's bat mitzvah. But the first play for that was when he and I got married, and which was in the front of our house. Benny was there, as were many other cantors. We didn't want to insult anyone. We loved everybody, and 7 cantors were there at our wedding, and that was the song that I walked to him to.
So to our guests, I'm so glad that we've been able to provide you with a glimpse of a truly remarkable man. He was beloved, and I'm grateful for the friendship that I had with him as well. And now, with any further delay, let's listen to this truly beautiful work, one that I've enjoyed and loved and cherished throughout my entire career. Bonnie? while I speak for the next moment or two, we are trying to address that problem. So briefly, what I'd like to do now is to share with you how this particular recording came to be made. Following in the footsteps of my predecessor at the Cantors Assembly, Chazan Samuel Rosenbaum, who was a true giant in the American cantorate, I became interested in creating quality programming of Jewish music for public radio. I was fortunate to be able to persuade the music department at Kent State University to collaborate with me along with our local NPR station, WKSU, and the Jewish Federation of Akron, Ohio. The first such program was called These Lights of Hanukkah, featuring arrangements of Hanukkah songs by Samuel Adler with text by Samuel Rosenbaum. And the second program we did was the recording that you are hearing this evening. I so adored music for Passover that I was determined to see to it that a high quality recording of this work was made. And again, at the end of our evening, I will tell you how you can re-access that recording. Sroul came to Kent State from Toronto to conduct the recording, and what I recall in particular was the warmth with which Sroul interacted with the students, few of whom were Jewish. This project resulted also in a lifelong friendship between Sroul and the chorus's conductor, Dr. C.M. Shearer. Both These Lights of Hanukkah and Music for Passover were broadcast throughout the United States. The recording you are hearing this evening was made in 1991. So now, Bonnie, I hope we're ready to hear the second half of the music.
was amazing. Such beautiful music. There was a question in the chat box, and I invite you all, if you have any questions, to please put them in the chat box, and we'll be able to answer any questions you may have with our wonderful panel. I'm going to invite on the screen virtually with spotlights. Welcome, my beautiful panel. So I just want to say that this evening you'll all be receiving an email with an edit of this session, including the original recordings. So you'll be able to hear them and you'll have them to listen back the entire week leading up to Pesach and during Chol HaMoed. I invite you to pull back and to just enjoy it so much. So check out for your emails. The question was asked, is there a listing of the arrangements, a place to get maybe actually the sheet music, and a list of the choirs that happen to have been singing during this particular track?
So again, this was the Kent State University chorus. There is, I know the Beth Tikva Choir did a recording. Benny Meisner has done recordings. And Benny, you can probably address this. When I accessed the music a number of years ago, it was available through the Canadian Music Library. As far as you know, is that still where the music is available? Because the work is not published. Ben, you're muted. Can we unmute Benny?
I sent him a link to unmute.
You unmuted yourself and then you muted yourself again.
We're having audio problems all around. One more time, Benny. Why don't you try it one more time? There you go.
Like most Canadian or all Canadian composers, there's an incredible, impressive Canadian Music Center.
Right.
Not only this, I'm in the process of making a lecture about Canadian Jewish composer, which not too many people know about, except Saul Glick and Ben Steinberg and a few others. But there are many of them. But this particular piece is, of course, is available in the Canadian Music
Center.
You know, as I said,
it's also, by the way, Stephen, there's also, by the way, a vocal unison melodic line with a piano accompaniment, which I have.
Interesting. As I said, I heard this work very early on in my career as a student at JTS and was performed at the Cantor's Assembly Convention. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, I had no idea, having grown up in an Orthodox congregation, that there was such wonderful Jewish liturgical music that was available. It is a stunningly gorgeous work. You were able to get a taste of it. Unfortunately, we are so very sorry about the quality of the recording, but as Bonnie pointed out, we will enable you to hear the work as it should be heard. My son, who's a Jewish musician, professional musician in New York, and conducts the Brooklyn Jewish Chorus, has actually asked me about the possibility of performing this work with his chorus perhaps next season. If you have connections to choruses, Jewish or non-Jewish, in your communities, this is a work that really should be heard. And audiences love it, in part because it is so very melodic.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. If nobody has any other questions for now, feel free to continue to populate that chat box. Oh, here's one. I'm looking online. Is this the CMC Music Library? Does one need to become a member to access the materials?
No, you don't have to be a member. I'll answer that to access the material. Canadian Music Center has this music available for, I believe it's for rental, but Benny would know more than I. But just to point out that this is not Sroll's only choral work. There is also, there's an amazing amount of choral music. One wonderful piece is choral symphony, and the final movement of that is called The Hour Has Come. And it was used to open the Canadian Olympics in Calgary. so that the music is renowned all over the world. And I really would hope that people would access it. And if you're going to do that and you're going to perform it, if you send me an email and I'm anywhere in the vicinity, I'll come and listen.
Beautiful. What a great offer. I would like to call upon Enter Benny Meisner to introduce a video that we're about to play. Benny, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're about to see?
Well, do you want to show the video or just for me to talk? I've been performing this piece many, many times, at least, if not 6 or 8 times during the decades that I've been serving my congregation in different formats. But the one that you see now is a little piece that I did on the 7th night of Erev Pesach, of the 7th of the Erev the 7th Pesach night, because people don't come usually Erev Pesach or Erev festivals to synagogues. So one of our assistant or associate rabbis decided years ago that we should do something musical of Erev the 7th night of Pesach, Shirat Hayam, of course. And so instead of doing it on the stage, I placed the choir in the midst of the congregation in the social hall, and everybody was enveloping the choir from all sides, and the sound was just radiating in the hall, but it wasn't like a kind of concert because a lot of the people sang along some of the melodies that they knew. Of course, the Ad Yehu is the Karlibach. The most exquisite piece there, of course, is the Ani Ma'amin. But a lot of the music is known to people. And you can put that. I just thought it would be a nice bonus to have a video. The recording, of course, not like today with modern technology that our younger cantors are privileged to do. It was just done with a regular camera.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that intro. Enjoy the video, everyone. Thank you all so much. Oh, I see Sarah has left her email address for everybody to reach out if you're going to be performing that music. Please do reach out to her and let me know if she comes to visit you. I would love to let everybody know that she's in town. So look out for your emails once again. If you enjoy the programming that we have here at the Cantors Assembly, we encourage you to make a donation. You can visit www.cantors.org and there's a top button, little donate button, and show your support to our online programming. And again, look out for your emails for the recording later this evening that will have that audio recording for you to be able to listen to over the next few weeks. I want to thank Cantor Steve Stein as I invite him virtually to our stage, and Cantor Benny Meisner, as well as our special guest, Sarah. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Thank you all for coming. Good night, everybody. Aziz and Pesach to you all.